In a small town nestled between rolling hills and endless fields of corn, there lived a man named Harold Finch. He wasn't much to look at: average height, thinning hair, and glasses that seemed permanently fogged from the steam of his morning coffee, but he had a heart as big as the sky above him. Harold owned the only pharmacy in Maplewood, a place where everyone knew each other's names and stories. It was more than just a business for Harold. It was his life's work. Harold started the pharmacy 20 years ago with nothing but a dream, and alone he paid off 1 penny at a time. Over the years, it became the heartbeat of the community, a safe haven for people seeking advice, comfort, or simply someone who would listen. But lately, Harold noticed something troubling. More and more customers were leaving empty-handed, their faces etched with disappointment and shame. Some whispered about prices being too high, while others avoided eye contact altogether. It broke Harold's spirit every time he saw this happen. He wanted to help, but running a business meant balancing compassion with reality. Bills needed paying, employees required wages, and suppliers demanded payment on time. Still, the weight of those unspoken struggles pressed heavily on Harold's chest. One evening, after closing up shop, he sat alone in his office, staring out the window at the streetlights flickering softly in the rain. "There has to be a way," he murmured to himself, determination sparking in his eyes. And so, Harold decided to do something no one expected, not even himself. He would go undercover, pretending to be just another customer, to truly understand what his patients faced when they walked through those doors. Little did he know, this decision would unravel secrets deeper than he ever imagined. The next morning, Harold arrived early, wearing a cap pulled low over his brow and a jacket 3 sizes too large. His reflection in the mirror barely resembled the man who usually greeted customers with a warm smile. As he entered the pharmacy, he felt strange stepping into his own store as if it belonged to someone else. The familiar scent of antiseptic mixed with paper receipts filled the air, yet everything seemed different now. Behind the counter stood Marcus, Harold's trusted assistant manager. Marcus was tall and broad-shouldered, with a deep voice that carried authority but never lost its kindness. He greeted Harold without recognizing him, which made Harold chuckle silently. "Good morning, sir. How can I assist you today?" Marcus asked politely. "I need some medication," Harold replied, trying to sound uncertain. "For my blood pressure." Marcus nodded sympathetically. "Of course, let me grab that for you." He disappeared into the back room and returned moments later with a small bottle labeled Lisinopril. Harold took it hesitantly, clutching it like a lifeline. When Marcus mentioned the price, Harold's stomach churned. $75, Marcus said matter-of-factly, unaware of the turmoil brewing inside Harold. $75 for a single prescription. Harold remembered how many times he'd seen similar expressions of disbelief cross his customers' faces. Now, for the first time, he understood exactly why. Feeling defeated, Harold handed over the money, watching as Marcus carefully counted it before placing it in the register. As Harold turned to leave, Marcus called after him. "If you're struggling, we offer financial assistance programs. Just ask." Those words lingered in Harold's mind long after he stepped outside. Financial assistance programs. Why hadn't anyone told him about these options before? Determined to learn more, Harold resolved to spend the rest of the day observing other interactions between staff and customers. As the hours passed, Harold witnessed countless scenarios that tugged at his heartstrings. An elderly man named Walter fidgeted nervously as Marcus explained the cost of his insulin. "I don't have enough," Walter admitted quietly, his hands trembling slightly. Marcus offered alternatives, suggesting cheaper generics, but Walter shook his head. "No, I need this one. My doctor says it's best." Harold watched from across the room, feeling powerless. He wanted to step forward, to tell Walter not to worry, but he reminded himself of his mission, to observe, not interfere. Later, a young father named Leo came in, holding a list of medications for his son. Each item added to the total until the screen displayed a number so staggering that Leo froze mid-sentence. "I'll come back later," he muttered, stuffing the list into his pocket and walking out quickly. By the end of the day, Harold felt drained but enlightened. These weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a larger pattern, a silent epidemic affecting the very people he cared about most. That night, sitting alone in his apartment, Harold scribbled notes furiously. He jotted down names, details, and ideas for solutions. But one question haunted him above all others. Was there really anything he could do? Determined to find answers, Harold dug deeper into the financial assistance programs Marcus had mentioned earlier. To his surprise, he discovered that many of them went unused due to lack of awareness or complicated application processes. Even worse, some restrictions excluded precisely the individuals who needed help the most. Frustrated but resolute, Harold began brainstorming ways to simplify these systems and spread the word throughout the community. But then came the twist, a revelation so profound it changed everything. While reviewing old files late one night, Harold stumbled upon a document buried deep within the archives. It detailed a partnership agreement between the pharmacy and a major pharmaceutical company. According to the terms, the pharmacy received bonuses for promoting specific brands over others, regardless of cost or necessity. Harold stared at the paper, his mind racing. This wasn't right. These incentives prioritized profit over patient care, something Harold had always sworn against. Yet here it was, staring him in the face. Anger surged through him, followed by guilt. Had he unknowingly participated in this system for years? And if so, what could he possibly do to fix it? The following week, Harold called an emergency meeting with his entire team. He laid everything out on the table: the financial assistance programs, the restrictive policies, and the disturbing partnership agreement. At first, silence hung heavy in the air. Then Marcus spoke up, his voice steady and firm. "We didn't know, Harold. None of us did." "I believe you," Harold replied, his tone equally sincere. "But knowing now changes everything. We can't keep doing things the same way. Not anymore." Together they devised a plan. First, they revamped the financial assistance program, making it easier to apply for and ensuring it reached those who truly needed it. Next, they renegotiated contracts with suppliers, emphasizing affordability and transparency. Finally, Harold made a bold move. He cut ties with the pharmaceutical company responsible for the unethical agreements. It meant taking a financial hit, but Harold believed it was worth it. Word spread quickly around Maplewood about the changes happening at the pharmacy. Customers returned, bringing friends and family along with them. Stories of hope replaced tales of despair. Yet despite the progress, Harold couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more to uncover. Months later, during a routine inventory check, Harold uncovered another secret hidden deep within the pharmacy's history. Among dusty ledgers and forgotten records, he found letters written by the original owner, a man named Samuel Grayson. Samuel had established the pharmacy decades earlier, with a vision of providing affordable health care to everyone, regardless of circumstance. Over time, however, rising costs and corporate pressures forced him to compromise, leading to the practices Harold now sought to dismantle. Reading Samuel's words, Harold felt a profound connection to the man whose footsteps he followed. "Our purpose is not to make money," Samuel wrote in one letter, "but to serve our neighbors with dignity and respect." Tears welled up in Harold's eyes as he realized the legacy he carried on his shoulders. Inspired by Samuel's ideals, Harold launched a new initiative called Grayson's Promise. It aimed to provide free essential medications to low-income families, funded entirely through donations and community support. The response was overwhelming. People rallied behind the cause, donating funds, volunteering their time, and sharing stories of how the pharmacy had touched their lives. Years later, the pharmacy thrived under Harold's leadership, embodying the principles of both Samuel Grayson and Harold Finch. Customers no longer left empty-handed. Instead, they departed with smiles and renewed hope. Employees worked tirelessly, driven by a shared sense of purpose. And Harold? He continued to innovate, finding new ways to improve access to healthcare while maintaining the personal touch that defined his business. One afternoon, as Harold sat behind the counter chatting with Walter, the elderly man who once struggled to afford his insulin, he reflected on the journey that brought him here. "You know," Walter said thoughtfully, "this place isn't just a pharmacy, it's a lifeline." Harold smiled, nodding in agreement. That's exactly what it's meant to be. And so the story of Harold Finch and his pharmacy became a testament to the power of empathy, perseverance, and the belief that even the smallest actions can create ripples of change. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.